I'm Smokin Joe Frazier. You watching boxing during your dinner.
Welcome to Boxing During Dinner, episode 13.
You gotta help me out here.
That's right, I gotta do the 3.
Episode 13.
That's finally. It, we're past 12, man.
Yeah, now we're going into the old school championship
We're in
rounds.
the old school, and pretty soon we'll beat John L. Sullivan in this bitch. We'll be going 20, 30 rounds.
What a reference. That's
so, unfortunately, fortunately, we're back. We're gonna provide great content. Unfortunately, no models this week. No. So a couple of empty chairs. Jessica and Ellie aren't here.
We had the chairs ready, but
we do have Joe Frazier this week, and that's coming up later. Yep. We also have this delicious food. Check this out. We don't have women this week, but we have a very presentable plate of food. You know what? Somebody said we should eat healthier.
Yeah.
Because they were afraid for our health. That. They said that by episode 20 we'd both be dead from heart attacks. Well, but not anymore. Now we're eating healthy. Yeah, we got until next week. But we wanna thank the chef that did this.
Chris Fisher, who's a good friend of ours. A chef who's making a splash here in Miami, and this is one of his more basic creations. He wanted to do something light and quick, but he's awesome. We're going to show you where you can reach him on the screen, and you'll see some more of his food in a second. But big thanks to Chris Fisher for supplying tonight's food. Yeah, and Chris was very modest and shy about his food. I mean, this looks great. He said it was simple. Yeah, doesn't look that simple. It looks very. Well, look, the presentation part is delicious. Over. I'm digging in, but Armando, tell him what we got going on right now.
But aside from Joe Frazier, we got a very special guest on the line right now, Vivek Wallace from FightHype.com. Vivek, welcome to Boxing During Dinner.
What's up, fellas? Thank you for having me.
Well, the first thing we got to talk about is this controversial decision. It was Erislandy Lara, the Cuban, lives here in Miami, against Paul Williams. To me, it was an awful decision. I mean, I think Lara watched the Carlos Quintana first fight. He watched how Sergio Martinez fought him, and he did exactly what those two fighters did. I had it in 9 rounds to 3, 117, 111, as did Harold Letterman. If you wanted to be generous, you could have given a couple of other rounds to Williams. I don't see how Williams wins that fight at all. David, what did you think about that fight?
I agree. I mean, there was the one card that said it was a draw. I don't even see that. It's unfortunate, and a lot of people are going to scream, that Paul Williams is an Al Heyman fighter, and they want to protect him and keep him on HBO. Are any of those true? Doubtful, but the reality is that unfortunately we got a bad decision, and that leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and why they argue that boxing is a quote-unquote dead sport, and it's hard to argue people's outrage when you have a decision like that.
And Vivek, what did you think about the fight? Was it a robbery?
I'm usually pretty careful about using the word robbery, but this was honestly a case where I think anyone who used it was totally accurate. I don't think it was too strong a word at all when you look at the way that it went down. I know that the network has pushed Paul Williams, and with him returning to the ring, they had big plans for him, but I don't think his level of commitment matched their plans for him. He looks like a guy who's ready to move on to the next phase of his life, to be honest. When you look at the tenacity and the way that he fought earlier in his career when he had a chip on his shoulders, and you compare that to what we saw the other day, I mean, people don't realize the impact that one of those knockouts can have. But honestly, I just think similar to what we saw with Miguel Cotto, who's still sticking around and trying to do things. But, I mean, when you take a shot like that, you're either going to bounce back real strong, like we saw Amir Khan do, who's a young lion coming up in the sport or whatever, or you're going to kind of fold up. And I think with Paul, again, he spoke about his investments, other things that he's doing. And I think it's safe to say he's wearing them silk pajamas right now. He's feeling too comfy in life to get up and train and go at it hard like some of these guys. And that's why you have to respect your Mayweathers of the world and the Pacquiaos, these guys who make amazing money, but they train like they're poor. It's really hard to comprehend for non-athletes what it takes to stay motivated when you wake up and there's money in the bank.
Brandon Rios, what do you think of Brandon Rios first and foremost currently, and where do you see him going from here? Because it looks like sky's the limit for this kid.
You know what? I like Brandon Rios. I like everything I see about Rios, but when I think about him, I'm always a little skeptical with fighters like that because I've been down that road before. I think a lot of us in the sport have been down that road before where you see this young, vicious lion and he fights a certain way, but my whole thing is, what happens when you fight that fundamental fighter When your stamina starts to fade and your power fails to connect, what do you have in your arsenal to gain his respect? You know what I'm saying? That's the big thing with me. He's great. I mean, I love when I see him. He puts cheeks in seats, but I'm curious to know with him, Saul Canelo, some of these guys, just like I was with Andre Berto, what happens when they get in front of somebody who that maul and stuff doesn't work with, who can outthink them? That's the only question I have with Rios, you know.
Yeah, and
He's talking about going up in weight right now. I would love to see him go up in weight. I don't think weight will stop him. Someone who will convert the game from checkers to chess will stop him, if anybody.
Vivek, we're getting towards the end here, but we got a question for you. And we know you're close with Floyd Mayweather. What are your thoughts on his upcoming fight with Victor Ortiz? And are we looking at the bell ringing for Pacquiao Mayweather that we've been talking about for, it seems, close to 3 or 4 years now? Are we close to seeing that fight in early 2012?
Well, to answer your first question, a lot of people are criticizing Floyd for taking the Ortiz fight. Honestly, I don't know. You can't. I don't know. I think that whole argument is like something totally personal because I think this is a great fight. A couple fights ago, Victor Ortiz was, beat around the ring. We all heard him say, I don't deserve to get beat up, whatever. He answered his critics, and he did it in a strong fashion. The guy hit the deck a few times. He showed a lot of heart. He showed a lot of durability. He showed everything you want to see in a young rising prospect. I think it's a solid fight because Floyd's been out of the ring, and like Floyd Sr. said on Fight Hype earlier today in an interview with Percy Crawford, bottom line is this: Floyd has been out of the ring for what will be 16 months or greater again, and all it takes is a loss of a few seconds of timing to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time when that southpaw connects. So, is it a dangerous fight? Hell yeah, I think it's a dangerous fight, even for someone as great as Floyd. So, that'll be interesting. Regarding the second question, there's speculation going on right now that also broke on Fight Hype that Timothy Bradley signed with Top Rank. It's still not officially confirmed, but if that happens, I don't think we see the Mayweather fight because Bob Arum, everybody wants to see this fight, but Bob Arum is a businessman conducting a business. Why take one big fight for $70 million or whatever when he can take 5 for $20 million, then one for 70? He's going to milk that cow until the well runs dry. And as much as we hate it, he's going to continue to put other people in front of Pacquiao until Mayweather gets old or until we just stop wanting to see the fight.
Well, Vivek, that was some really interesting stuff, man.
I love it. Always a straight shot from Vivek Wallace.
And but that'll wrap it up with Vivek Wallace. We want to thank you for joining Boxing During Dinner. We'll definitely have you back, man.
Hey, thank you guys for having me too. Next time I come around, you gotta have the honeys on the set, but maybe not, because I don't want my girl to put a foot in me like we saw happen to Paulie.
We won't show your picture, just a voice, and we'll give you another name.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, fellas, great job. Thank you for everything.
All right, take care, Vivek.
We appreciate it. We'll talk to you real soon.
And that was Vivek Wallace from FightHype.com. If you wanna follow Vivek, you go to FightHype.com and check out his articles. One of the best writers in all of boxing. Yep. But Vivek was not the only guest we have this week. No. David went to a fight on Saturday at the Hard Rock Seminole Casino in Fort Lauderdale in Hollywood, and he spoke to the legend, the one and only Joe Frazier. And let's not BS. Let's just throw it to the interview.
Take it.
Hello there, people. My name is Smokin Joe Frazier. Sharp as a razor. Gets the job done.
That's right, he gets the job done. So Joe, you're here in Fort Lauderdale just for the night to watch the fights tonight. Have you seen any action tonight that excites you? Makes you think?
I think the guys have done a fine job, man.
Doing a fine job?
I thought maybe I was going to see this crazy thing, wrestling and fall down and beat them up. But these guys were doing great fights tonight.
Legit fighters. Now, you as one of the all-time heavyweight champs. Now, this is probably a question you don't get asked too often. Who was your favorite fighter?
Once you become a champion now, you've done the whole thing. So therefore, guys like Marciano, Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson, George Benton, down the line, Muhammad Ali, myself, Joe Frazier, we all were great guys because we were champions. We went through the tours to be a champion.
Beautiful. And so now the current state of boxing, you know, if a lot of people saw the Vladimir Klitschko-David Haye fight last weekend, know that the heavyweight division is just not an exciting one these days.
I really ain't seen much of the heavyweight division, so I really don't know what's going to happen, you know. But it's, you know, the guys, it's nothing going to be easy. We got to go back to the old school and get the job done the right way. I think you'll go back being things that you want to see. But if you don't go run 3, 4, 5 miles in the morning with boots, comeback boots, cold, sunshine, shining stuff, you have to do it to get the job done.
Sounds like a fighter who trained in Philadelphia.
That's my hometown, no doubt about that. And all those guys come from them are great guys.
So Joe, you're still training fighters now, is that correct?
No, I closed the gym down.
Closed the gym down.
Got away from it completely.
Got away from it. Fantastic.
That's why I'm here to look to see what these guys doing.
Yeah. All right. And one final question: what are you up to nowadays to let anybody who's your fan want to know?
Go around, say hello to the fans. Let's say go wherever you need me for, let's say, public appearance, and let's say the needy, not the greedy. Anyway, down the line, somebody loves to see me to help draw money for a cause, a good cause, I'll be there.
Fantastic. Joe, thanks so much.
Hello there, I'm Smokin Joe Frazier. You watching boxing during your dinner.
So Armando, as you can see, and that was me with the high-pitched voice in the back, but a chance to meet Joe Frazier, to be frank, it's a night I'll never forget. I really won't. It was absolutely incredible to sit there and, you know, shake hands with a legend. But so I mean, that was a huge surprise for our Boxing During Dinner fans. I actually have a surprise for you, my co-host. So not only did I have a chance to meet the legend, but I got a little gift for you from the man
and
himself.
see, and this is not scripted. This is
a hard secret to keep. I want you to see it. I'll show the fans first.
Man.
To Armando, Smokin Joe Frazier,
Wow,
across the
that's
bottom.
really cool, man.
Wanted to give you that gift.
Look at that. That is amazing.
It was tough to keep that secret. I wanted to tell you the second it happened.
And let me not put too much grease on it, man. This is like, man.
Here,
I'm gonna give this to my grandkids one day, and they're gonna ask me, Grandpa, who the hell's Joe Frazier? And then I'll have to beat them up. But damn, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. Just a total class act of a guy, charming, funny. Very, very lucky to have met him. So,
but I did give him the opportunity to meet Miguel Cotto. So
yeah, so we're even. We're even.
But you know, really quickly, I want to throw to just a quick prediction I did last week.
Yeah.
And it didn't make Boxing During Dinner episode 12, but here it is. Carlos Molina will beat Kermit Cintron. Carlos Molina will beat Kermit Cintron, and let me tell you why. Carlos Molina is the most underrated fighter in boxing, in all of boxing. The guy doesn't have many knockouts, but he's a very good fighter. He's beaten Ed Paredes. He's beaten a number of very good fighters. He's one of the toughest fighters and most underrated fighters in boxing. I think he's going to beat Cintron by decision. And David, the reason I said Carlos Molina will win, and the reason I wanted to air that is not to blow smoke up my own ass.
No, of course not.
But it's because I have respect for Carlos Molina. I mean, the guy put a blemish in Julio Cesar Chavez's record, as you were mentioning to me before. I thought he beat Arislan Lara. He just got shafted, but Molina got shafted against him. Yeah. And he's one of the most underrated fighters. He's a guy who can move, a guy who's slick, a guy who doesn't get hit much. He's a guy that can give anybody a tough time at 154, and I think he deserves a title shot.
I do too. I mean, he's one of those rare cases of a guy who loses some fights early on and then develops somehow, and that rarely happens. And we saw this with Paul Williams. A guy loses a fight and you don't know how it affects him mentally. Very few people come back and fight the same. Even fewer come back and improve their game. And Carlos Molina really didn't just beat Kermit Cintron; he schooled him.
And Molina's not a guy who's gonna put cheeks in the seats, as Vivek said.
I like that.
But he's a good fighter, and for boxing purists, he's a joy to watch because he sticks and he moves and he makes you miss. Yep. But that's it for Boxing During Dinner, episode 13. Man, it goes by quicker and quicker every week. But we have some good stuff next week. IBF Women's Champion Stacey Stalo Riley. She's an IBF featherweight champion, and she's gonna be here.
We're excited for that.
We're working on getting Glenn Johnson or Orlando Cuellar, and I'm working very hard to get Arislan Lara. So stay tuned for that. But you can follow us at Box During Dinner on Twitter and on Facebook.com Facebook.com/boxing during dinner.
Yep, and send us your emails to boxingduringdinner@gmail.com. And we got a Facebook group too. Do your best to help spread the Boxing During Dinner news. And the more hype we get, the better chance we have of bringing more good-looking women.
And before we leave, Juan Manuel Marquez against Licor Ramos this weekend. You know what? We'll talk about Marquez in November when he fights Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Easy fight for him. So we'll see you next week.